Hey y'all. So I want to extend what we talked about yesterday by explaining why we have merge. So we talked about it like conceptually. We need to build a structure. And to build our structure we have this operation called merge, and merge lets us, combine two elements, and we have constraints on merge. We have the binarity principle and we have headedness, which gives us our maximum projection. But what is making the merge happen? And that's kind of what I want to go over right now. So there's this thing called a feature. So let's get our sentence back, and we'll kind of dive into features. So I'm gonna start small. So the natto. So noun terminer. We found this yesterday. Merge this. It becomes a DP. Well, why does this merge? And why is it the DP? Well, we said that D is the head of the phrase, of this like segment, this phrase. But okay, but why did this merge? It could have been something else. Well, we say that D has a feature for N. That's how we model this merge, in that, hey, this is selecting for the noun next to it, and because it selects, because it's the head, it holds the features. And now we merge, we resolve this feature, we are good. This is now our new constituent. So now we can say eat the natto, and then this will be a VP because this is a V. It has features for the D, and so on. And that's kind of the idea. And this is how we reach our maximum projection. Now, there is another kind of projection called an intermediary projection. And this is when, like, let's do this generally and then we'll apply it. So we have X and we have Y. Okay? So those are our features, or those are our constituents. We want to merge them. So we say that X has a feature for Y. And the reason we say this is because we want X to be the head in the max. So this would be a maximum projection where X is the head. Now, we don't want this because we want to show intermediary features. So let's say that X also has a feature for Z. So we can't say this is a XP because we have not resolved all features. We need to resolve all features before we can reach phrasal level. And the way we do that is by this thing called X bar. So we would say X bar, and you can also write it as X with a bar over it. I like to use the apostrophe notation. They're both equivalent, not one. They mean the same thing. And what we do then is, so this feature has been resolved because it's right here. We merged it. This X bar still has a Z feature. Like, that carries up. So until this resolves, we can't get to phrasal level. So we could say, so if we have a Z now, and we merge these, now we can reach XP. So this level is called the intermediary projection, and this is maximum projection. And that's kind of an interesting idea. Now, why do we care about that? Well, we care about that because we need some way of connecting the dog, which is what did the action of eating the natto, or in our case the past tense. So the dog already ate the natto. We need some way of connecting this DP, so this one here, with the rest of the sentence. And the way we do that is with this thing called a tense. So as we know, so ate is the past tense of eat, meaning the action of eating was happened in the past, or happened in the past. So we want to first of all describe that in the structure. So we do so with the thing called a tense. So we could add a tense here, and I'm gonna say past, like this, just to mark that is a past tense. So this is a T. I'll put it down here, and we're gonna say it selects for the V, meaning the VP up here. So this merges, and now we could say it's a TP, but we still don't get the end result of connecting the dog into the sentence. Right now we just have a TP. So this is the sentence, and then this is like some other thing that's here. We wanna connect it. So what we're also gonna do is we are gonna add a D feature. on T, and we're going to make this an intermediary projection. We're going to say, instead of TP, we're going to make this T bar. And then we have the rest of this. So let me erase some of this stuff. And let's put the dog. Now remember, we're going to merge the dog first, and then lastly merge it in with the T bar. So make this a DP. Merge these in. Now we reach maximum projection for the tens. We have a TP. And this is our sentence, basically. And all these features have been resolved. You should always be checking that they are resolved, because you cannot reach maximum projection until all features are resolved. So that's our sentence right now. But there's still one more thing that I wanna talk about, which is this idea of a complementizer. Now, if you're new to this class, you probably have never heard of this. I'd never heard of this before. But it's kind of our way of extending our sentence. We can always make our sentences longer. We can do what's called a run-on sentence. English teacher probably scolded you for doing such a thing, because now you had a 5-paragraph sentence that never ended, that had no punctuation, no periods. But in this case, that's okay. We want to account for that. So a complementizer is something like that, which. There's things that let us extend our sentence. And we can use this property of recursion, where we, the dog ate the natto. Did you know that the dog ate the natto? Hey, did you hear that Sally knows the dog ate the natto? Like, we can keep extending it. And a key word is that, in my case. Do you know which dog ate the natto? So that's what a complementizer comes into play. And so in this case, we don't necessarily have a complementizer, in that it's not overt. There is no that. Like, we want this to be its own, maximum, I want to be a real sentence kind of thing. So we're going to say it's null, or it's hidden. And we're going to call this null complementizer. And that makes this a CP. So it's going to select for the T. And the reason we do this is so that we open the door to explain why we can make this recursive. Because if we don't have this, then we say this is the maximum level that a sentence can go to, then we can't explain recursion. Then recursion has to come from a different structure. And that's not clean. We want things to be clean. We want them to be easily explainable and consistent. So this is how we do that. So the last thing I forgot to mention is that this past tense kind of modifies eat, because remember, our original sentence was the dog ate the natto. But right now we have eat. And the reason I put eat is because I wanted to simplify the verb. And there's a very interesting idea where this past tense changes how eat presents. It changes it from eat to ate. And that's called affix hopping. Affix hopping. I mean, in this case, it's not so much affix hopping as it is just changing the whole word. But if you had something like want becoming wanted, that makes it past tense. So that's like affix hopping, but it still applies, and that's what we call it. So that is basically how to model a whole sentence in syntax. All right, get out of here. I'll see you next time.